Hello guys, Tejas here, back again with another video, and in this video I'm going to tell you how to get this charging port light working back again in a 2011 Tata Indica Vista. Now, well, before I get started, when my car is in kind of a terrible shape right now, don't ask me why. So the problem with the Vistas is that the Vista actually, you can see this is the charging port socket that goes back here, and you can see there is an illuminated ring around it, and if you remove this trim, you can see it actually does come with a light from factory itself, but it is just not wired up. You can see this right here is the connector for the charging port, and you can see there is no third pin to power that light. And in this video I'm going to tell you how to get that functionality back again, because you see in Tata Manzas there is a third wire that comes out of here which powers that bulb, and it's the same thing for the front. It does come with a light, but it is just not hooked up. So in this video let's get that working back again. So the first thing that you need to identify is how you want that light to turn on. Now the simplest way to do it is just take the positive of this particular wire and just kind of remove another wire from it, plug into the light, and the problem with that is that whenever you put the ignition on, the light would stay on the whole time. The problem with that is this right here is actually an incandescent light, and you don't want to put unnecessary stress on this because you cannot replace the bulb only, you have to replace this whole thing, which is very hard to find with these older Tata model cars. So the other way to do it is when you turn the light on. So let's say when you turn on the normal smaller lights, the whole dash lights up, and that is when I want that to light up as well. So for that we need to tap into a power source which is only powered when the lights are on. So let's do that. Alright guys, now before we start tampering with anything, let's quickly talk about how this actually works. So this right here is the typical charging port that you can find in most of the cars, and this is actually the light itself. Now if you look at the charging port, there are actually two prongs which is underneath. You can see the middle one is actually the positive one, which is basically connected to that prong inside of there, and the casing of the charging port itself is actually the negative or the ground of this thing. And if you see the light itself, you can see there is this prong sticking out. So whenever you just kind of click the light into the charging port like that, you can see this prong actually contacts the ground of the charging port. That means the light and the charging port basically share the same ground. The only thing we want to connect is the power wire. So in order to do that is very easy in this Indica Vista. The first thing that you need to do is remove the carpet piece which was over here, along with this the trim piece that sits here, and if you go on the back side of this, you will find this particular connector. You can see I've already unplugged it before, and this right here is the main tail light connector. This pretty much powers everything. So for the brake lights, the indicators, the reverse light, all of those lights are powered from these. What we can do is that when you turn on the lights, the first click, these two lights actually light up. So we need to tap into the power source from these lights. Now of course I thought beforehand to remove the tail light and tap the wire from that, but then I found this connector which is over here, which is quite conveniently located. So in order to measure the current, actually all you need to do is take a multimeter like this, and I've actually probed it beforehand. So as you can see, this right here is the connector, and if you see this pin right here, that end of my thumb, this pin is what gets powered when the lights are on. I'll put a schematic on screen right now of this particular connector so you could have a better understanding. So what we need to do is we need to tap into that connector right here, and once you have identified which connector it is, all you need to do is come on to the back of the whole connector housing. You can see all these wires are exposed, and we need to tap into this particular connector. So if we look behind, you can see under that blue wire there is a brown wire which we need to tap into. I guess it's the main common power wire for most of these lights, so that should do the job just right. So let's tap into it. So in order to get a better look at the wiring that is going behind, the first thing that I did is remove all the clips and the tapes that were actually behind the connector, so I could find the wire itself that I need to tap into. Now I could have tapped into the wire near the connector, but I wanted the factory finish, so I followed it all the way up to where it branches. Alright guys, now as you could see, I have actually completely removed the tape and whatever it was from this wiring, and Correction, by the way, the wire that we want to tap into is actually a grey wire. It's not brown. It was just caked up with dust, so I thought it's brown. As you could see, the wire starts from here, comes all the way back here, and this is where I'm going to prong into the new connection. So this connection right here is what we call as a spade connector, and as you could see, where's the wire gone? And as you could see, I've already made a wire. You can see the spade connection is right here, and now I need to connect this wire into this slot right. I'm going to cut it back all the way so that it just kind of branches with the wire that goes to the charging port, which is right here. So I'm just going to make a small cut over here, wrap that wire around it, and then just run the wire along with the charging port wire. You can see it follows when it comes up here and goes into that connection. So all that wire would be together and tidy, and it would look totally factory stock. So let's get that done. And if you want to get the front light actually working, it's the same thing, because those tail light wires, as you could see, they run all the way from this side. Now I'm not going to film this particular portion because it's going to be the same, because well, the weather isn't very supportive. So what you need to find is, you can see these are the same wires that are from the light, and from this bunch again you need to find that particular gray wire which connects the whole tail light to the power. So all you need to do is kind of splice it into it and just kind of put a tape on the floor and run it through this existing wiring right here. This is where the charging socket for the front is wired. So just take that wire, route it through here, and your charging port socket will be back to working again. So with that out of the way, I quickly took a blade and started removing the rubber coating on the wire. Use the blade very wisely because you don't want to cut the wire completely. Alright guys, so this is what you need to do. You can see I have completely kind of removed the rubber coating of the wire by using a blade, and once this is exposed, all you need to do is wrap your new wire. So you can see this is the new wire, and just kind of wrap the end of it. So you can see I have completely stripped this one. Wrap the end of it on that, just tape it down, and you are essentially done there. Alright guys, now just to be sure, I have actually connected the multimeter prong to actually one of the ground wires, and as you could see, the lights are currently off right now, and if I try to prong it, well, there is no voltage around it. But if I turn on the light, okay, so the lights are on now, and this wire should be live now. So I'm going to prong it, and there you go. I'm reading 12 volts on the multimeter, and that is a job well done. Now all you need to do is put the new wire in, and we are good to go. So from here I quickly started to wrap the new wire to the old existing stock wire, and make sure that you actually properly tape it up afterwards as well, so it would look as factory fresh as possible. And make sure you use proper amount of tape as well, because you don't want any exposed bits contacting to the body of the car. I am all done right now. You can see this is where we have cut the wire from. This is where it's running, and I actually routed it through the factory wiring harness all the way back up. I had some extra length of wire, so I just kind of coiled it up and put it in. And as you could see, we have the power wire for the light, and whenever you turn the light on, this gets power, that light turns on. Now actually the throw of that bulb is not really that impressive in my opinion, but at least let's have that functionality. I'm going to insert some night shots over here just so that how this actually looks. But yeah, this is how you wire that light up. Thanks for watching. And this is the final look. Now of course the throw of the light isn't really the best, and it's mostly due to how it's designed and how the light is refracted in the plastic, but it's still better than having no light there, and it still illuminates it decently enough. And meanwhile, while I was filming there, I did the front one as well. As you could see, that is also looking brilliantly. So that's a job well done. Thanks a ton for watching.